Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's September the 8th. This will be a chart lesson for today, and really good trading day today. There were quite a few setups here early on. We had this real tight range. You just ignore, just stay out of that. Don't get hung up in that. Notice that I didn't mark my first trade till after the open. It was actually about 850. You might have considered entering long here, and it would have worked. It would have, if it didn't shake you out, it would have worked. As long as you kept your stop where it's supposed to be, which is below that signal bar right there. And it is a real small bar. I'm actually going to change that to green. It's a little bit aggressive, but it's not a bad trade right there, and I'll explain it here in just a second. That was the first trade. That was right after the open. So really the first solid trade was, 15, 16 minutes after the open. The good thing is you could have had this larger channel. You should have been able to find that trend line right there and drag it to that high and expect that something might happen right there. And plus you got a two-tiered kind of a trading range. It looked more trading ranges. Um, I know that's not a word, but that's what I'm going to call it. Trading range-ish, if that makes sense. Um, Across those highs, those were the highs from yesterday. Real obvious, and that's where we broke a little bit above there during the overnight, but that's uncommon, and that's exactly where we found resistance. We found support at kind of the lows at yesterday afternoon, and that started a little range there, and we finally broke lower. Um, so you were able to have this part of the range by the open at 8:30. Wasn't hard to find. You just draw that line. It's obvious that prices are moving down the line right there. Draw that line, move it up, and when prices turn down there twice off that, and then when we went through, it was pretty obvious there's probably a measured move, but it turned and went right back to the top, and look where it turned, right off that line, bounced there, and then it went on through. And once it goes on through, what are you expecting? You're expecting it to make a measured move the same width of here over on this side, and it bounced there. It made one more push. Too risky to do anything there because there's a good chance that it bounces off there again. It did push on through and get a little overshoot, and then it reversed. It's been trending up all day. And so that is what I saw today. A couple of people, I mean, look how your short-term trend lines, they worked perfect all day. I got a couple of emails, or at least one from somebody saying, hey, there was a trend line break coming down here, but no retest where, I'm not sure where. I think he maybe drew his trend line. I don't know where he drew his trend line. I couldn't see his whole chart. He just sent me a little snapshot. But every one of these, here's the first one I saw going up. You got your break, move to a new high, then you're working down. You got your break, move to a new low. You're working up, you got your break, move to a new high, you're working down, you get your break, you move to a new low, you're working up, you get your break. Now we didn't get a new high there, but that, we went right into the close, and then, so who knows what happens tomorrow. My guess is we'll probably push up there and test this for it, so we might even go higher. But it's too late to be looking for a new high here. But every one of those did exactly what you would expect it to do. So, but you don't always get a retest. You might get a retest attempt, but it doesn't make it because there's a larger pattern. So you got to have a good setup. Just because you get a break here, you don't necessarily want to go short there if you don't quite understand what's going on, or if you're not sure. But you get a really good setup. Prices go higher first, turn, and then go out the bottom side of that bar all in one move. It closes on its low. That's a good short setup. That's a bearish setup. So you're going to push on down and probably get a scalp out of that. But it looked kind of rangish early on. And there's probably another measured move in here if you copy this line. I'm sure that's probably another measured move right there. If not, it's going to be real close probably. But by this time, you were working off this little move down, and by that time, you should have seen this bigger channel. And if you didn't, doesn't mean this end of the world. You're just not there yet. It just takes time, and with experience, it's easy to find these. And what time did I post the midday chart today? Okay, I'm looking. I posted the midday chart at 9:45, and if you go look at it, you'll see that all of this was on here. Let me get to where we would have been with price. Prices would have been working probably right up through there. So, and you'll see that all that would have already been on the chart. So it's not that hard to do with experience. If you've never done it before, then it probably is hard to do, and it just takes time and experience. But let's talk about the trades, tell you what I saw, and then we'll go from there. Just make this a little bigger and we'll work our way over. Again, this is just too choppy, too overlapping. It's just not worth entering. You're better off to wait, and notice you get this little double bottom. You move back, you make a little higher low. This is like a double bottom pull back. It's a little risky here because you didn't really have much to confirm this trend line yet, but you could get it off the top. You don't have much going on at the bottom, but look how it fits on the top. So I drug it down right there. You get your break, it comes back, pulls back, and then you get now you got a failed, notice that new high, first entry short, pull back, second entry short, and then it breaks higher. And so this was a little more aggressive, but not a bad entry because it's a double bottom pullback long. It's a real tiny bar, so you can get in with very low risk. Your stop would go below this signal bar once you got your orders triggered, and I usually use 1 or 2 ticks, and one tick would have done it, and then you get another entry here. Definitely, if you didn't enter here, and you might add on right here. Easy scalp. And then somebody got short right here. I want to talk about that a minute. I could see why you would think about going short right there, but there's no, the real resistance is up here. And if you measured this, you get most of your touches right across here. You might have had it down here. But you get most of your touches right across there and most of your closes. You just got a couple little ticks lower there, and then it turned up. So I like that. And if you, I ended up, I think, even adjusting that some because of that. You can notice it couldn't get back, close back above it right there. And it couldn't close. You can tell by those closes right there that that's kind of where the line is. And if you measure that, that's a perfect measured move up, and you get a double top there, and it turns down. So if you didn't see this as the high of the range across here, and then the high of yesterday's, those are important points. And so you're probably going to, if you get above here, you're probably going up here. But I could see how you could go short right there. And somebody else asked me about double tops. How do you count a double top? Well, you can count this both ways. You can count this as a new high right here, or you can count this first entry. So pull back first entry, pull back second entry, or you could count it as a new high, pull back first entry, pull back. Of course, you made a new high, so pull back first entry. And same thing going lower, first entry, pull back, and then you could count that as a first entry. I think it's just really risky. Everything just came off the lows. We've gotten above the EMA. We bounced off of it there. We're still above it right here, and we hadn't tested these highs yet during the regular open. So it's a little risky going short right there, although I could see how that would be tempting. Plus, you don't have a new high in. You've got your break and you don't have a new high, and you've only got one leg, and you're usually going to get 2 legs if you don't make a new high. And sometimes you'll get 2 legs. Notice this one, we got the break, 2 legs up. We got the break, and you got, I'd call that 1 leg in those 2 legs, and then another leg with 2 legs in it. So 2 legs down to a new low. And that's usually what you'll see. Although sometimes if there's stronger resistance or something, you may not make a new high. But there's no real resistance right across here, other than the fact that some people might have gone ahead and drawn a trend line right across there and been thinking about that. But if you try to confirm that, where does it fit? It might fit there, but it doesn't look as good as the way I did it. if you can see how well that fits right there. And then of course it fits perfect right there when it comes back up. So um, anyway, if you got trapped there, when this ends as a doji, that's not a good sign. Get out with a tick or break even or whatever you can get, and then it goes higher. But going long, um, this other trader, I think he went long in there too. I'm trying to remember where he was at because there is room to go long right there. I think he went long right. He waited till here to get long is what he did. And then you're getting long right. Notice there's not much room into that high there. Um, you've only got, that's only a first entry where this is a second entry. And you got your trend line if you saw that. And you got your highs from yesterday there, which you know is going to give you a little problem. So you don't want to be going long right there. It's not a very good setup anyway. This is not the best setup, but there's a failed second entry short there. Notice the new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. That's the real gist of that long right there. That makes it a nice long. And so then you get this move here and it breaks one tick higher, it turns down, pulls back, and then goes lower. I would have waited here to go short. And although you could have considered going short right there, but you might get hung just like you did right here. Wait on another push down, and that came right here. And this one's, you figure you're going to at least here, but this thing goes all the way down. And then I'd be looking for it here, but then it shoots. Notice how it goes right through. It doesn't really have, it has a little bit of support there, but not enough, and it goes right through. Then it pulls back, heads down. I really thought this thing would move all the way down on that move, but it didn't. It corrects, comes back, and then it works lower. So you got your trend channel working down. I don't like going, you might have actually thought about going short right here. Probably should mark that one green. I was a little leery of it, however you like to say that. But it did break higher and then go out the bottom, so you could have used a stop there. But because that's kind of a bullish bar, I might have let it bounce and then put a limit order in there somewhere. But you could have just gone short on a stop right there because I really thought it would move all the way down to here, but it didn't. It pulls back and then it goes down, and it still works. As long as you put your stop would go above that bar right there. That's the high of that swing, and it is right off that trend line. It is kind of a breakout pullback short, so there's different reasons to take that one if you want. But because of that trend line right there, I was a little trend channel line. I was a little leery of it because I wasn't sure yet if you didn't have enough evidence to know if it was two-tiered. You suspect when it goes through there like that it is, but you need a little more evidence than that. So. And you get your break of this little short-term channel right here, moves to a new low, nice bearish. I like that one. And again, I thought it might drop all the way down, but it didn't. It's an easy scalp, but that's all you get out of it. And then it reverses. And you don't want to go long too early. But notice you get right here. There's not much resistance off that EMA like you would expect. It tries to go lower, and then it reverses. Closes inside that trend line. I like going long right there. And then you get the failed second entry short right there. Just go long right there, and you're looking for it to come back to this trend line if that's in play, or maybe even all the way up to here. And it goes right to that trend line, pulls back, tests it again. It was tempting to go short right there, but it didn't close on its low. You had a little double bottom. So just sit tight and see what happens, and it breaks higher. And then there's your failed second entry long. Notice the new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And that second entry long fooled people. They don't understand the channel. They don't realize the little short term with the break and the move to a new high. They don't see the double top. It's like a double top pullback. Boom, off it goes. And you even get one more little tick higher there, and it turns down. So really, you could actually enter there too. And look at that move down, and where does it find support? Right off that trend line again. It looked like it was going to try to go higher, but look at all that overlap. Look at all those dojis. Don't do anything in there. Don't go short, don't go long, just sit. What it is you're finding support off that line. but the buyers are not really, the thing is working down. So it takes a minute to break out of there, and then you get that first entry and a little correction right there, and there's a second entry short right there. And there's actually a little trend line right there. This is more of a trading range, but there's even a little trend line working up through there. And you get your break, and it tries to retest, and it can't. But you do get a break of your channel right here. And I like that one. Then it tries to pull back again, and look how bearish. And now when you get in here, you're expecting it to probably to overshoot it that many times. You figure you're going to the other side, and that is a nice trade. And then it pulls back, and you're still not here yet, and it comes right off that midline. That should be a little bit lighter. I didn't lighten it. And it breaks higher and turns and goes out the bottom. Just go short right there. Boom. And then now you've touched the lower side. It's too risky to go short again in there. Even though it would have worked, it's not worth risking it. Just sit tight, and this should be blue. Forgot to change it. Oops. We don't want it almond. Okay, and then you get your reversal. Look what it does at the EMA. It gets a little bit of resistance right there, but it pretty much shoots right on through, pulls back. Notice the new low here. Pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It fails. It turns up. There's a failed second entry short. Everything's above the EMA. You're looking for a possible reversal. Nice trade. And then it pulls back again and tests this line. It's really late in the day, but if you were still trading, I'd want to take that trade too. And that was pretty much it for today. Really, it was a really good day. There were a couple of runners here that were good for a few points, and it was fairly simple to find. If you had trouble, like I said, if you had trouble finding, don't sweat it. You're just not there yet, but you'll learn this stuff. It takes experience. It takes time. And that actually leads me into, I got an email today that I want to share with you. Let me find it here. This guy's been following our stuff for a while. I've gotten quite a few emails from him over the months and probably even years, I should say. But I'll just read his email here. Mack, as you know, I've followed you since the very early days, and after such a bumpy ride as we all experienced one way or another, it finally appears that I've turned the corner to some much welcomed greener pastures. It wasn't easy and certainly didn't come overnight. It actually took breathing the market 16 plus hours a day for about 3 years. So this guy, it took him 16 hours a day and about 3 years of work. And this short, I'm going to continue here, at this short a time frame only because I found you pretty much right away and never really had to waste my time with nonsense courses and custom indicators. How lucky, I know. So, he's telling us it took him 3 years working about 16 hours a day. So, and that's a good, and that may be still short term for some people. This is not an easy business to break into. This is like, think about it like trying to be a medical doctor or a lawyer. You got to get that undergraduate degree, then you got to get your law degree, your medical degree, then you got to start your business and do your intern and build, all that stuff. It takes a long, long time and a lot of hard work. Trading is no different. If it wasn't, nobody would be doctors or lawyers. They'd all be working to be traders if you could do this in a couple of weeks or a few months or even a couple of years. But it can't be done that quickly. It takes a long time for most people. But anyway, back to his email. Let me start over right there on that paragraph. It wasn't easy, and it certainly didn't come overnight. It actually took me breathing the market 16 plus hours a day for about 3 years. And this short a time frame was only because I found you pretty much right away and never really had to waste time with nonsense courses and custom indicators. How lucky, I know. And I'll throw that out there, not to toot my horn or anything like that, but people that don't have to unlearn all the bunk and the crazy things that are out there learn this quicker than people that have spent years learning all the wrong things. Things that are considered gospel to this day, I say, are bunk, a lot of it. And I'm not going to go over all that. Again, I've done that before. But let's continue. Now understand, this is the part I really wanted to get across. There were two things I wanted to get across from that. And one is how long it took him. And the other one is that once you get there, you begin to understand why people do not hang out in forums and share this stuff, and why people in the know do not teach this stuff. And there's a reason. It's because nobody believes them, for one thing, because they're saying something different than the supposed gurus are teaching. So understand that, and I'll continue. Now I understand why so many profitable traders simply stop sharing their insight, methods, and strategies. They just get constantly harassed by naysayers and novice traders unwilling to put in the work. I recently joined BMT for two reasons, and I believe he's talking about Big Mike's trading. One, to give back a little to the ones that are really struggling, and two, to have the opportunity to read through what other successful traders have done for others and how they were able to positively impact their lives. By the way, most of those folks you actually happen to know, and I'll end up crediting you for much of their own progress, and that, my friends, says a lot about you and a major compliment. I got to BMT only to see that these awesome people are no longer even there. No more Welly. He is always so humble in his posts on your website, but let me tell you, Welly has become a true master of his own. I was actually very eager to learn a few things from his approach myself. Such a class act, really. I'm out of luck on that one. Then Vance has been gone as well, etc., etc. Seems like all the good mentors, people actually willing to teach, give back, and help, eventually run away, and now I know why. There's just no appreciation and zero respect. And I won't read any more of it. Those were the 2 points. It continues on and tells a lot of stuff about some of these other guys that have gone on, that have taken what I've learned and maybe added to it, or worked it into their own, taken our, pretty much what a few of these people have done. They've taken our strategy and they've tweaked it to meet their personality, which is what you really have to do almost. To some degree. We've invented, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. We've invented the wheel, but some parts of it are personality driven. When you exit, how you handle runners, whether you scalp out. And that's why I don't teach a lot on that point. The main part you have to understand is how to find the entries and how to get your scalp. And how you handle it after that is more personality driven. But there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. We've invented it. People send me stuff and say, hey, what about this? How about trying that? It's not that I'm not interested in it. Well, no, that's not the word I'm trying to use, because I'm not interested in it, because I don't want to change what works. It's not that it's not probably good stuff, but we've already got something that works. And we've tried tweaking it, and we spent years. We came upon this stuff by years of experience. I had an old timer teach me some of the basics of price action. I've read a lot of Brooks's stuff. I think he has a good understanding. He has a hard time explaining it where it's easy to understand, but I think the man has a brilliant understanding of price action, and I give him credit because I've read some of his books, and I picked up a few things from his books that the old timer didn't teach me. But most of the stuff, other than the basics that the old timer taught me, I've just learned from experience, sitting here watching. Like as I've said before, I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of screen time. And when you sit here every day and watch this thing all day long, you begin to notice things, and that's how you get better at it, and studying your chart at the end of the day. But that's the other point. Not only do I sit here and watch this thing tick for 6 or 8 hours a day every day, at the end of the day, for years, I'd study for another 3 or 4. And on the weekends, I'd study all weekend. My wife was about ready to leave me over this stuff but I had to do it if I wanted to make it, and that's what it took. And man, my wife used to be on me, are you back in front of that stuff again? And so I was dedicated to it. But anyway, again, back to the email. There were 2 points I wanted to make. One was he gets now why, I always try to say, trading rooms, forums, nothing wrong with those places, But you're not going to learn much there for the most part, because most of the people that are sharing what really works are harassed so bad they leave. And most of the ones that are there that are sharing what they call gospel is just flat wrong. And you're not going to see a lot of it. Once traders get experienced and they start making money, they disappear from those places, and there's a reason, because they're busy making money, and they don't have time to go over there and listen to the BS and all the other stuff that goes on there. That's one of the reasons. Um, but I think the main reason is they just get bored with it, and they're making money and they move along. And there's many times I've thought about throwing in the towel and just stopping all the teaching. And just about every time I'm ready, I've decided I'm going to quit this. I get an email like this from this gentleman, and I get an email at least once a week like this. That somebody says I changed their life, and that's why I do this. Because I don't make a lot of money doing it's a lot of hassle and a lot of work and a lot of time that I spend running this website and stuff. And for the money I make, trust me, it's not worth it. The money's made in the trading. That's where the real money's made. And um, so I don't do it for the money. Uh, so understand that. It's because I enjoy what I'm doing and I like helping others. And I'm a person of faith. I believe in giving back. And this is part of my way of giving back. And like I said, sometimes I get really frustrated with all the naysayers and the headaches that and the people that saying that you can't do this, it doesn't work, you can't do that, it's you're wrong. Let me see your results. Let me see you take real trading. Let me look over let me look at your people actually send me your tax return, send me your you know prove that it works. Well, if you do it long enough, you'll find out on your own. And if you want to see examples of live trades, they're out there. I've got them on the website. I've shown my performance. Some of you have seen it. Um, it's not something I'm going to publicize. I don't want people. You don't walk up to somebody, anywhere and ask them how much money they make. I mean, it's a private thing. I don't want people to know how much money I make. It's not something that I want to publicize. So, and hopefully people understand that. And so, no, I'm not going to show you I'm never going to show anybody my tax returns and things like that. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. I just wanted to share that email and make those 2 points that, this guy gets it. And if you ever, once you make it, you'll get it. And once you make it, there's one other thing I can tell you. You can talk with somebody for about 5 minutes and just listen to what they say, and you'll know within 5 minutes or so if they're really profitable or not. Because if they're spouting off all these phrases and rules and things that are considered gospel that I know are just pure bunk, I know they're full of bunk too. And so if you ever, when you make it, those of you that are close or right there at it or have made it, you know what I'm talking about. And now, Lauren, I shouldn't have said his name, but now this gentleman, uh, he gets it. He understands what I've been telling him all this time. And when you get there, you'll understand too. And but anyway, I appreciate that email. And he did want me to thank Welly and Vance and those guys, and let them know that he appreciates the help that you gave him, and that y'all played a big part in his success as well. Because I guess he can't get in touch with you guys anymore. And I understand why Welly shut it down. Me and him have conversations quite often, and and he's actually talked to some. He's actually had fund managers and stuff tell him that there's no way that this works, and then he shows them, and he's sitting there making money hand over fist. So don't believe what other people tell you. Stick to your guns. This stuff works. You can become a profitable trader. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to do it overnight. It may take you 3 years like it took this gentleman. It may take you 2 years like it took me. It may take you 5 years or 8 years. But if you really want to do it and you're dedicated and keep working at it, eventually you will get it. Uh, I believe that with all my heart. But it's not easy. You can't come in a few weeks or even a few months or probably even in a year or two and walk and be really good at this. Um, the one thing I have found that really surprises me is that I still get better at this every day. I mean, when I was getting to the point where I was, around 80% wins, I was thinking, that's about as good as it's going to get, but it's not. You get better and better. You hardly get fooled. Once you really get this, it's hard. It's not that you won't ever make a mistake, but I rarely get fooled by the price action. Usually, when I make a mistake, it's that mental issue. I know the rules say that you probably shouldn't go short right here because we're just bounced off that, but I'll just have a brain freeze and go short, and it touches the line again and bounces, and I get stopped out. That's the kind of losses I have now. It's very rare that I misread the price action. And once you really can understand the price action and you can draw these trend lines and find this stuff and understand when there's congestion and why the congestion, you have to understand why this is congesting here. If you don't have all these lines on here, you don't get why you're getting this congestion here. Let's just look at it. If you move all them lines, you don't understand what's going on right there. But if you can find the lines and you understand what's going on, you understand that the reason there's congestion there is you got a midline running across here, or a channel line, and it's bouncing off of it. Look how much different that looks now. And then you understand why it bounced here, and then you understand why it turned down, because you got a trend line working down across there. But look at that again. If you don't have that line there, that just doesn't make sense. But when you see that congestion, if just stay out of it, because you don't know what price, even if prices bounce, the trend is down. So you don't want to go long, and you don't want to go short out of that, because it's probably going to break out and come back. And it's usually what will happen, it'll break out both sides a couple of times. So once you get to where you understand the price action, you're not going to get fooled near as often. I can promise you that. And you can see there's a two-tiered channel working down right there with a midline, and look how prices followed it all the way down. You had your break, you moved to a new low, and it went below that one, and then it reversed. It's been working up. So it takes time. It's not easy, but it can be done. So don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to anybody that tells you you can't do it. The only thing stopping you is the unwillingness to do what it takes to make it in this business. And trust me, it takes dedication and hard work. And when I say hard work, people will say, I'm willing to put in the hard work, but they don't quite understand what I mean by hard work. You've got to sit here and trade all day, and then when the hard work comes in, is putting your trades on here at the end of the day and spending another hour or two, or maybe three if it takes it, studying all this price action, studying each of these trades, understanding what was going on, figuring out why this congestion happened here and why it bounced. Until you can find those trend lines, you don't understand. There's no understanding. And the reason it was finding resistance off the high is that trend line, that little midline. And so you're kind of stuck between two areas there, and then it bounces and it hits this resistance right here. It does break it, and then it's headed down again. And look how it's just bouncing off of it all the way down. And it's working off this side until it finally gets above it, and it reverses. And it's just, you got to understand what's going on. Why was this bouncing right in through here, all working down? Because there was a trend, it turns out it's a midline. At the time, I thought it was some kind of trend line. But it turns out to be a midline. And so you have to understand what's going on. You have to understand price action, and you have to sit down at the end of every day and study this until you can figure all this stuff out. And it's not easy. It takes dedication. And most people don't have the intestinal fortitude or the real desire to make it bad enough to do what it really takes to do this. It's like trying to get a doctorate degree. You got to put in your 8 years of school and your internship and then build your practice. Those doctors don't come right out of school and make money instantly. They have to either go to work for somebody else, or they have to open a practice and start building it. And, it takes them a while to make the big money. Same thing with lawyers. Either you go to work for somebody and you make a nice salary, or you have to open your own practice and start building it. And, you got to get, if you're working for somebody else, it takes a long time to become a partner. And if you open your own, it takes a while to build that business or to win that first case where you really make the big dollars. And trading's no different. When you first come out, you start to get profitable, you make a little money, you don't make a whole lot. If you can just have a year where you have a profitable year, then you're started off on the right track. And then the next year you make a little more than you did the first year. The next year you make a little more. And the next thing you know, you're making more money than you ever dreamed possible. And you're working a few hours a day. And that's how it works. So just stay with it. Keep the course. Don't listen to other people unless they're positive. And understand that can be done, but it's a long, long journey. So I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.